Hi, my name is Gabrielle Lucia, and today I'm going to be discussing distinctive features of consonants and vowels. This is part of Week 10, topic number 1. Distinctive features are a way that we describe certain phonemes and a way to describe the sounds of English. A phoneme are speech sounds and what we use to transcribe sounds. Distinctive features are something that we use that can help us distinguish between phonemes, specifically in this case of this presentation, consonants and vowels. No two phonemes have the same set of features. Distinctive features can also be related to place, manner, and voicing of a phoneme. We use place, manner, and voicing more specifically when we're discussing consonants. But place is where in the vocal tract the constriction is located during the production of a phoneme, and which speech organs are active in that production. Manner is the way in which the airstream is modified as it passes through the vocal tract. And voicing is whether or not the vocal folds are vibrating as that sound is made. So there are many different types of distinctive features. We use distinctive features to classify consonants and to classify vowels as well. So some terms of distinctive features that we use to classify consonants include consonantal and vocalic, anterior, coronal, voice, nasal, strident, continuant. And some distinctive features that we use to classify vowels are, again, consonantal and vocalic, which we use for both consonants and vowels, as well as high, back, and low, round, unrounded, tense, and lax. These terms we will go into further depth in later slides. So here's a chart of distinctive features. On the top half, you see consonants, and on the bottom half, we see vowels. On the left side, we have all the distinctive features that are listed for the consonants and for the vowels. An important thing to remember about distinctive features is that you don't have a degree of a distinctive feature. That feature is either present, shown with a plus mark in this chart, or absent, shown by a minus sign in this chart. So for example, if we're looking at the consonant P and we go down to voice, we'll see that there is a minus sign. That is showing that voicing is absent for this consonant P. There is no degree of voicing. There's no high or low amount of voicing. It's specifically absent. There is no voicing in this consonant. So vocalic versus consonantal, these are terms that we can use to describe both consonants and vowels. Vocalic means that a sound is vowel-like. We know that a sound is more vowel-like when it's usually longer in duration. For example, if we are voicing or if we are producing the phonemes K versus W, and we are to sound out those two phonemes K and W is the more vowel-like sound here. That is because the W sound produces a longer duration. Consonantal means that it's generally more consonant sounding and has a shorter duration. So P and T versus U and I. There are very few sounds that are both vocalic and consonantal. And L possess both of these characteristics. Now we're going to talk about vowels. So vowels are a speech sound that are made by the speaker that does not constrict or block the airflow within the vocal tract. All vowels are voiced, and they are produced solely by changes in tongue and lip positioning. The sound source for all vowels is at the level of the vocal folds. So this means that the breath stream is voiced with the vocal folds vibrating. We usually classify vowels in terms of lip and tongue position, which is not the same for consonants. So tongue placement, like we said, is a way that we use to describe vowels and how they are produced. So high, mid, and low describe how raised the tongue is in the mouth. It is either high in the mouth, midway in the mouth, or low in the mouth. We also use terms like back, front, and central to describe how far back or not back the tongue is moved in the mouth. So, as you could imagine, there can be combination of these descriptors that cannot exist. For example, you cannot have a front and back tongue placement because your tongue cannot be front and back at the same time. But we can have a back and high tongue placement because your tongue can be in the back of your mouth while also being raised higher in the mouth. So here is the vowel quadrilateral, and this is basically just a chart showing tongue placement when producing certain phonemes of vowels. So on the top, you see from left to right, we have front, central, and back, and tongue height on the left side, high, mid, and low. All back vowels, as you can see on the right here, are rounded. So for example, if we are producing the phoneme U or oo in the word boot, we can see that there is a back high tongue placement, and this specific phoneme is rounded. If we are producing the phoneme I or E in the word beat, this has a front high tongue position. This is just a way that we can classify certain English vowels. So just some more on tongue placement. If we are producing the phoneme O in the word oak, the tongue is rounded and it is at a mid-back tongue position. If we are producing the phoneme I or E in the word feet, the tongue is at a front high position, as you can see here. So another way that we can classify vowels is the degree of lip rounding, or whether or not the lips are rounded or unrounded when we are producing that phoneme. So back vowels are rounded and front vowels are not rounded. For example, when we produce the phoneme U or oo, as in the word shoot, the lips are rounded compared to the front vowel in the word met. And here's just a diagram of what the lips might look like, rounded versus more unrounded. So now we're going to talk about consonants. Consonants are phonemes that are produced with a constriction in the vocal tract. These are usually found at the beginning and end of a syllable. And these are produced by vocal tract constrictions that modify the breath stream coming from the larynx. The sound source is the noise that is created at the point of constriction in the oral cavity formed by articulators. So the production of consonants really depends on these articulators. These articulators include the lips, the jaw, the tongue, the vocal folds, teeth, alveolar ridge, and the velum. We usually classify consonants according to the manner of production, place of articulation, and voicing, which is a bit different than vowels, which, as we described, we classify more with tongue placement and lip rounding. And in comparison to vowels, consonants are generally shorter in duration. So here are some terms that, once again, we can use to describe consonants and the distinctive features of consonants. So voice is a way that we describe air flowing past the vocal cords. In this case, in voice, the vocal folds are constricting or approximating in order to make a vibration or make the vocal folds vibrate. So if we're describing a way that we produce a certain consonant phoneme sound, we could use voice if the vocal folds are constricting, for example. For continuant, this means that when producing the phoneme, there is no complete blockage of air, and air is still able to continue through the vocal tract without being stopped. Nasal is a way to describe a phoneme that is produced with the velum or the soft palate being lowered. In this case, when it is lowered, it allows air and vibration to enter through the nose and resonate in the nasal cavity, which we know as nasal articulation. An example of this is the phoneme M or in the word many. Strident is a sound that has a ton of noise. These include fricative sounds, which have a high amount of energy and frequency. An example of strident would be phoneme F or in the word first. This is a fricative that uses the top teeth and the lower lip as places of constriction. So when we produce the word or the phoneme, we are using our top teeth and lower lip. And without those two things meeting, we would not be able to produce that phoneme. Another example is the phoneme S or S in the word saw. This is alveolar, which means that the tongue and the alveolar ridge are places of constriction. So now I have just some questions. So number 1, true or false? Can a phoneme be produced with a back-front tongue position? The answer to this is false because your tongue cannot be placed in the back of your mouth and in the front of your mouth at the same time. Number 2, what vowels are produced with rounded lips? A, back vowels, or B, front vowels? The answer to this is A. If you think back to the vowel quadrilateral, you will remember that back vowels are rounded while front vowels are produced with unrounded lips. And 3, what distinctive feature can be seen in both consonants and vowels? A, vocalic and consonantal, B, continuance, or C, round and unrounded? The answer to this would be A, vocalic and consonantal. We can use both of these terms when we are describing features of vowels and consonants. We cannot use continuance to describe both consonants and vowels because we use continuance as a term more to describe consonants. As well as round and unrounded. We use round and unrounded to describe vowels, not consonants. So here's my works cited. Thank you so much.